Hello everyone and welcome to this session. Before I begin, I would like to quickly take feedback from you. So kindly use the chat option and you can drop me a message and do let me know if I'm audible to you. Use the chat option and you can drop the message and let me know if I'm audible. You can type your response and let me know if I'm audible to you. Once I get your feedback, I'll start today's session. All right. Thank you, Ritik Singh, for letting me know that I'm audible. So now that one of the participants has given me the confirmation that I'm audible, I will start today's session. Thank you to AV also for confirming that I'm audible. So this would be the continuation of the previous session that you had few days back, wherein I took you through quite a few IIMs and the admission process that they follow. So in this session, we will continue from there, and I'm gonna talk about some more IIMs in this session. But before I do that, let me first and foremost revise what we earlier discussed for a few minutes, just for a few minutes, so that if anybody missed the part one and is attending part two, they would still be able to understand what is going to happen in this session. So, first and foremost, I'll take you through the parameters that IIMs usually use when they carry out the admission process. So, this is the complete list of parameters that IIMs will use. Now, does it mean every single IIM will use every single parameter that is there on the screen? Not really. IIMs individually, independently will decide what parameters they would like to use and what weightage they would like to assign to each of these parameters. So independently, each of the IIMs will carry out this process. But broadly, what are the parameters? First and foremost is your CAT performance. This plays a major role, ladies and gentlemen. So doing a good job in CAT will have a huge impact on your chances of making it to a top IIM. Because when you do exceedingly well in CAT, it not only helps you in getting an interview call, but even during the final selection stage, usually IIMs will assign a weightage to CAT performance. So it will not only help you in getting a call, it also helps you in converting your call. Now, apart from that, some IIMs will include 10th class performance, some IIMs will include 12th class performance, some IIMs will include graduation performance also. Now, one thing to keep in mind that I told you in the last session also, usually most of the IIMs, they normalize your performance in these academic academic qualifications based on your board, based on your university. So 90% marks in one university may not fetch you the same kind of weightage as 90% in another university, for example. So they will take into account the difficulty level of scoring a percentage of marks in that particular university or that particular board. So few IIMs also give weightage to post-graduation or professional course. When I say professional course over here, what essentially I'm talking about is chartered accountancy or ICWA or CFA. So some IIMs do give weightage to these qualifications also. Then we have work experience. Now, work experience as a parameter, remember, it should be work experience that you acquired after you finish your graduation. It should be a full-time work experience and it should be a paid work experience. Then comes diversity marks. Some IIMs give academic diversity marks to all the non-engineer applicants. This they are doing because some IIMs would like to diversify their batch. Some IIMs will give gender diversity marks to all non-male applicants. So all the female applicants, and in most cases, even transgender applicants will get gender diversity marks. Now, as far as shortlisting for PI stage is concerned, these are the parameters that usually will be taken into account. But after GWPI is over, group discussion, essay writing, interview round is over. During the final selection stage, all these parameters will be having weightage. Now, again, I want to reiterate, I am not claiming every single IIM will have every single parameter. IIMs independently will decide which of these parameters they would like to include. So some IIMs, very few IIMs will have group discussion. Most of the old IIMs will have WAT. Personal interview, all the IIMs will have. So I have already covered quite a few IIMs in the last session. And today I'm going to cover some more IIMs. So let's get started. But before I do that, understand that the entire admission process may comprise of 2 to 3 stages. Now, what are those stages? Most of the IIMs, they will first generate a preliminary shortlist. Now, this preliminary shortlist, you should not misunderstand to be interview shortlist. No, this preliminary shortlist may be generated with minimum eligibility requirement. Most of the times it will be CAT performance. So IIMs may decide a minimum required CAT percentile in order to qualify for the preliminary shortlist. If you fail to clear that preliminary shortlisting criteria in terms of CAT performance, you will not be proceeding forward to interview round. But if you clear this, it doesn't mean that you are guaranteed to receive an interview call, because the next stage will be actually shortlisting people for PI. So first they generate a preliminary shortlist. From there, further shortlisting will happen for interview round. Now, is it the case with every single IIM? Not really. Some IIMs will not include 3-stage process. They may go for 2-stage process, wherein the first stage itself will be shortlist for PI getting generated. So that usually happens when the IIM has got only CAT as a parameter of shortlisting. Then directly it becomes a 2-stage process. First stage, they will shortlist you for interview, and you will undergo GWPI round, and then final selection will happen. All right. So the tentative timeline that you have to remember is CAT exam is getting conducted this year on 30th of November. Usually you can expect the results of CAT to be out in mid-December, and IIMs will release the shortlist in January. So most of the IIMs in January, 1 or 2 may come in February also, but most of them will be in January itself. Starting from the first week of January, the IIMs one by one will release the interview shortlist. The actual interview and PI group discussions, essay writing will happen in February, March, in some IIMs even in April. And the list of selected candidates, some IIMs will release in April. Majority of the IIMs will start releasing the shortlist, final selected list in May. The actual MBA classes, the MBA batch will start. In old IIMs, it will start in June. In new IIMs, it usually starts in July. Now, let us start looking at some more IIMs in this session. So the first IIM I want to talk about is IIM Trichy. Now, IIM Trichy has not released admission criteria for this year. So here I am talking about last year criteria. CAT 2024 admission process is being discussed now. For CAT 25, the shortlisting criteria, admission criteria is expected to be released in the next coming few weeks. So last year, they had conducted the shortlisting process along with 7 other IIMs. So totally 8 IIMs were part of CAP. Now, what do I mean by CAP here? See, CAP essentially means Common Admission Process. So last year, what happened last year was multiple IIMs, they came together, they formed a partnership, and they carried out the admission process together. So these IIMs included IIM Trichy, IIM Udaipur, IIM Ranchi, IIM Kashipur. Then we had Bodh Gaya, Sirmaur, Sambalpur, and Nagpur. So these 8 IIMs collectively had a single shortlist. But this year, apparently, there is not much of clarity whether CAP will take place or not. But 4 IIMs together have announced that they will have a joint admission process. They include IIM Trichy, then IIM Raipur, which will also be acting as a coordinator for this year's process, IIM Ranchi, and of course IIM Kashipur. So these four have announced partnership, and they said we are going to carry out the process together. So instead of CAP, these four are going out of CAP and they are having a partnership, and they will have a common admission process of their own. So instead of 8, it has become 4. The remaining IIMs, we have to wait and see what the process would be. IIM Udaipur, of course, said that they will do alone with the entire process. Remaining IIMs, we have to wait for their admission criteria. But these are last year's cutoffs. So last year, IIM Trichy, which was part of CAP, they had directly called people for interview purely on the basis of CAT. So these were the last year's actual cutoff by IIM Trichy and rest of the IIMs which were part of CAP. So general category people, they received a call at 95 percentile, EWS and OBC and C 81, SC 66, ST and differently abled 42. All right. But mind you, sectional cutoffs were also there, as you can see on the screen. Now, once people were called for interview and WAT, after WAT, what is WAT? WAT is essay writing. So after essay writing and interviews got over, that's when IIM Trichy carried out final selection process. And during the final selection process, IIM Trichy again assigned a whopping weightage of 47% to CAT performance. That's the reason, ladies and gentlemen, if you remember, I had put a star mark next to CAT. So doing a good job in CAT will have a huge advantage because it also helps you in converting your interview call. See, 47% is almost half the weightage. But when I say weightage for CAT, in final selection, they essentially will give a huge weightage in IIM Trichy. Will rest of the IIMs give similar weightage? Not really. As I said earlier, every IIM independently will carry out the admission criteria, will decide what will be the parameters, what will be the weightages assigned to those parameters. Every IIM separately, independently will decide. So, as far as IIM Trichy is concerned, WAT accounted for 5% weightage. Interview, on the other hand, had 20% weightage. Now, if you observe, 47% for CAT and 25% was weightage assigned for WAT and PI. So, all in all, it accounted for 72% weightage. I'm sure you are going to agree with me, 72% is a humongous weightage. So these are controllable factors, right? So you cannot complain and say that, hey, come on, because of my low 10th percentage, I couldn't make it and so on, because 72% is humongous weightage. The factors which are not controllable, which you cannot change, are the remaining 28%, which essentially included diversity marks, 6% for gender diversity and 2% for academic diversity. 10% weightage was given to work experience, whereas 10th was 2%, 12th performance was 3%, graduation, it had 5% weightage. So these were the parameters IIM Trichy kept in place during the final selection stage. And as I said earlier also, IIM Trichy was part of CAP, Common Admission Process, and last year they had a single interview, right? So all those 8 IIMs that I was talking about, they had a single interview for admission. Now moving on to the next IIM. Next, I'm going to talk about IIM Ranchi. Once again, they have not released this year's process. So I am using the previous year CAT 2024 admission criteria of IIM Ranchi. As I said earlier, in case of Trichy, Ranchi last year was part of CAP, but this year Ranchi, instead of CAP, as I said earlier, they will be part of a separate joint process along with Raipur, Kashipur and Trichy. What will be the cutoffs this year? What will be the admission process this year? We are not aware of it. It should be becoming clear in the next coming few weeks. But let's quickly give a look to what was the process that was used previous year. So last year, as I said earlier, they had a direct shortlist, and the shortlist was generated solely on the basis of performance in CAT 2024 exam. And these were the cutoffs. Now, what is interesting about the process is sectional cutoffs. If you notice, the sectional cutoffs are not very high. 75 in case of general category was a sectional cutoff, whereas if you observe EWS, it was 55, NCOBC 52, SC was 45. But ST and differently able, if you observe, VARC and data interpretation and logical reasoning was 25, but QA was marginally high at 30 percentile. Overall, it was 42 in case of ST and differently abled. Now, once you underwent the WAT and PI round, that's when the final selection was carried out. So, personal interview and your performance in WAT together accounted for 15% weightage. But look at the weightage for CAT, it was humongous, 65%. But what is interesting is this 65% weightage, the way they designed it is, they said 15 points out of those 65 points. If I talk in terms of points, if it is 65 points, out of that 15 points will be for VRC, 15 points will be for DILR. The remaining 35% will be weightage for mathematics. So mathematics had much higher weightage than the other two sections in the final selection stage. Now, the work experience, it had 10% weightage, graduation performance 4%, 10th class performance 2%, and 12th class performance 4%. Girls and transgenders, they had 5% weightage. But do keep in mind, this is excluding gender diversity marks. So I'm writing in terms of percentage, but let's look at it in terms of points. So if there are 105 points, out of those, 100 points will be for the other factors, 5% will be for girls. That was done to encourage diversity in their batch. But remember, I want to again reiterate so that in case anybody missed this, I said earlier, this was CAT 2024 process. CAT 2025 process and the parameters that they will use, the weightages that they will assign to those parameters has not yet been disclosed. We expect it to be revealed in the next coming few weeks. So this was IIM Ranchi's process. The next IIM is very interesting. It is IIM Raipur. The reason I'm calling it very interesting IIM is because for a very long time they were part of CAP. Now remember, I told you what is CAP. I said CAP is Common Admission Process. So IIM Raipur was part of Common Admission Process along with 7 or 8 other IIMs. And IIM Raipur continued to be part of CAP till CAT 2023. So till CAT 23, IIM Raipur was along with the other IIMs as part of CAP. So CAT 23, they continued. But in CAT 2024, IIM Raipur, they said, we will not be part of CAP. We will be carrying out the admission process on our own. That was a big development last year. So unlike the previous years till CAT 2023, IIM Raipur was along with the other new and some baby IIMs. But previous year in 2024, they said, no, we don't want to be part of CAP, and they pulled out of CAP. So let's talk about how did they carry out the admission process in CAT 24. Remember, CAT 25 admission criteria has not been revealed so far. So last year, they had separately carried out the process, and these were the cutoffs that they kept in place. General category, if you observe on the screen, I have shared the cutoffs for general category, and last year, the overall percentile needed was 96 percentile, right? EWS 90.2, NCOBC 86, and so on. Now, these were the cutoffs that they kept in place. Interestingly, what you have to remember is clearing these percentiles alone was not sufficient to get an interview call. If you touch these percentiles, then very well you have made it to the preliminary shortlist. But once you make it to the preliminary shortlist, the actual interview list would be generated, and while doing so, these are the parameters that they will use. These are the weightages that they will assign to those parameters. So the CAT performance last year was assigned 50% weightage. So your CAT performance, it played a major role in getting an interview call. But then don't underestimate importance of 10th class performance as well as 12th class performance. Last year, they did not take graduation into consideration. Only 10th class 20% weightage, 12th class 20% weightage was assigned, and graduation was not a parameter. Gender diversity scores were given not only to females but also to transgender applicants, and 7% weightage was assigned. Non engineers were given 3% weightage. So, this is how the actual shortlist of interview call getters was generated. Once this shortlist was generated, students were interviewed, and once the interview got over, that's when the final selection happened. Interestingly, last year, IIM Raipur, instead of having a WAT, IIM Raipur decided to have group discussion. That was an interesting development in case of IIM Raipur. So group discussion was carried out and not essay writing. Now, the final selection stage in IIM Raipur, again, CAT performance was again given 50% weightage, but the interview performance had 25% weightage and group discussion 5%. So 5 plus 25 plus 50, you can observe it becomes 80%. 80% is humongous weightage. So even if somebody doesn't have work experience or somebody doesn't have great profile, still they will be able to secure a final admission offer by doing a brilliant job in CAT and doing a brilliant job in interview and group discussion. So the major chunk of weightage was for controllable factors. So this was the case last year in IIM Raipur. And the topics that I am used for GD were current affairs based. Not every single topic, but majority of the topics that our students have got last year were current affairs based topics. It's very important that you people prepare hard for current affairs. Try to go through important events that have happened in 2025, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there are a variety of topics, right? Whether it is Israel-Palestine war, or it is Ukraine-Russia war, or Operation Sindoor, or Indian economy, or USA economy, China, USA, or the Americans impose trade tariffs on almost all the countries across the world. So, point I'm trying to make is work hard on current affairs. Once you work hard on current affairs, remember it will help you in your group discussion performance. It will help you in your essay writing performance. It will also help you in your interview performance also. Apart from this, remember there are some exams where current affairs will be part of the question paper itself. I'm talking about exams such as XAT or CMAT or MAT. So there are a whole lot of exams where current affairs does play a key role. So you definitely need to prepare for current affairs. Now, as far as time is concerned, we will help you in your preparation for current affairs. If you are already a student of Time, you are getting an excellent magazine on your student homepage called MBA Education and Career. Make sure you go through the content from that magazine on a regular basis. Other than that, we are also providing with a lot of GAHO, GAT handouts that will give you excellent inputs on current affairs. Other than that, remember you are also being provided with a lot of links leading to good amount of articles. So that will also help you in your preparation. Other than that, I hope you have been reading newspapers on a regular basis, because remember current affairs does play a major role in your GWPI round as such. So this is how IIM Raipur carried out the process last year. But remember what I said earlier, this year IIM Raipur has entered into a partnership along with IIM Trichy and IIM Ranchi as well as IIM Kashipur. So IIM Raipur along with these three. So IIM Raipur, IIM Trichy, IIM Ranchi, IIM Kashipur. These four IIMs, They are coming together and forming a partnership, and they will be carrying out the interview round together. And it's actually a mini version of CAP that way. CAP used to have 8 to 9 IIMs, whereas this partnership will have 4 IIMs. All right, moving on. The next IIM I want to talk about is another very interesting place, IIM Rohtak. So IIM Rohtak for a few years was part of CAP, but then around 3 years back, they broke out of CAP and they decided to carry out the admission process on their own. So independently, IIM Rohtak has been carrying out the admission process, and IIM Rohtak, the way they carry out the admission process is there will be a separate application form that will be released. You need to fill up that application form and apply for IIM Rohtak. Only then you will be considered for interview shortlist. If you do not apply, then it's as good as telling them that I'm not interested in studying in your college. It is mandatory to fill up their application. Usually, application form of IIM Rohtak will be released immediately, either immediately after CAT or just before CAT. So just keep an eye on IIM Rohtak. Now, the way the shortlisting process works, they will only have an overall cutoff in CAT exam. So last year, these were the cutoffs that they have kept in place. General category cutoff was pretty high. It was 97 percentile. But keep in mind, there was no provision for sectional cutoffs. That would have made it slightly more easier for people to have secured calls. EWS 93, OBC NC 83, and you can see rest of the cutoffs. So directly on the basis of CAT, people have been invited for interview. So that is what is interesting about IIM Rohtak. And the interview process happens online. And what IIM Rohtak usually does is, along with your interview, IIM Rohtak also conducts extempore. So once your extempore and your interview gets conducted, that's when IIM Rohtak will come up with a list of selected candidates. Now, this is how IIM Rohtak will carry out the final admission process. CAT will have a humongous weightage of 60%. So CAT, again, I want to reiterate, it plays a good amount of role. Then interview would have 20% weightage, whereas the remaining 20% will be your weightage for academic profile and gender diversity. So this is how IIM Rohtak carries out the final admission process. This year also IIM Rohtak is expected to carry out the admission process on their own. And I want to reiterate, this is CAT 24 process. CAT 25 process will be out in next coming few weeks. So do you keep an eye on IIM Rohtak? And if you are interested, the moment their application form comes out, make it a point to apply to them. Now let's talk about IIM Udaipur. Now IIM Udaipur till last year, till CAT 2024 was part of CAP. So till CAT 2024 they were part of CAP. But this year IIM Udaipur has announced that they will carry out the admission process on their own. There will be a separate application form of IIM Udaipur that you need to fill in, though they have also announced that most likely there may not be any application fee involved in Udaipur, but you need to apply to them separately. That particular application will be out after some time. Now, they have announced that they will start by having a preliminary shortlist, and that will be on the basis of CAT 25 performance. Remember, this is minimum required CAT percentiles. They announced that these percentile values will be decided and disclosed after CAT 2025 exam gets conducted. So right now, nobody knows what those percentiles are going to be. Whether there will be an overall percentile or whether there will be sectionals, there is more likelihood of sectional percentiles being there according to the official information that they have put. They have said that the sectional percentile to be decided, they have written. So there is a chance sectional cutoffs may be there in preliminary shortlist. But again, we will come to know of it for sure only after a few weeks. Now, once these preliminary shortlist is generated, from those students, the actual interview shortlist will be generated on the basis of these parameters. While IIM Udaipur has announced what parameters they are going to use, so far they have not announced what weightages they are going to assign for these parameters. That we will come to know only after a few weeks. But what are the parameters that they have announced? They said CAT score will be a parameter, CAT performance will be a parameter, 10th class performance, 12th class performance, graduation performance, work experience, as well as gender diversity. These are the parameters that they said they are going to take into account. But I want to mention it very clearly. So far, they have not disclosed exact weightage, exact percentage value that they will assign for each of these parameters. So we have to wait and watch for formal announcement of exact weightages that they are going to assign. I'm sure you would agree with me. That's a crucial bit of information. Then we will come to know how much importance they are giving to each of these parameters. Now, once you are through, once you generate an interview call, you will undergo an interview round, and that's when the final selection will take place. So, after interview, final selection will happen, and they have also revealed the parameters as well as the weightages also for the final selection. They said CAT will have a weightage of 55%, which is pretty high. Then interview will be of 25% weightage. Now remember, 55 plus 25, it is actually a humongous weightage of 80%. 80% is a big weightage, my friend. So even if you don't have experience or if your academic profile is not great, you can still make it to IIM Udaipur during the final selection stage because the controllable factors are humongous. Now, your academic profile, that means your 10th, 12th graduation will have 6% weightage. Work experience will have another 6%, whereas diversity marks will be 8%. They have not clearly mentioned so far this diversity is gender diversity or is it academic diversity. IIM Udaipur has not announced it so far. So we will come to know of it after a few weeks. But they did release all the parameters as well as the weightages during final selection. But what they have not released so far, they haven't released the CAT percentiles needed. They haven't released the weightages that they will assign for the parameters that they plan to use during the shortlisting phase. These are the two things that are unknown, and we will come to know of it very soon. Next, I am going to talk about IIM Kashipur. Now, as I said earlier, till last year they were part of CAP, but this year they have moved out of CAP, and this year IIM Kashipur, along with Trichy, Ranchi, and Raipur, they will have a separate process. So last year, these were the actual cutoffs that I've already shown to you earlier. And if you clear this, you directly last year got an interview call. And after the interview call was secured, WAT and PI was conducted. And once that got over, that's when the final list of selected candidates was generated. And these were the parameters and the weightages that they assigned to those parameters. CAT had the biggest weightage. It was given a weightage of 33%. So one third of the value was assigned to CAT performance, and interview had one fourth of the weightage. Then a lot of other parameters were also taken into account. 10th performance, 12th performance, graduation performance, it was given 5% weightage. Professional qualification like chartered accountancy, company secretary, ICWA had another 5% weightage. Work experience was given 12% weightage, and academic diversity for non-engineers 4%, and gender diversity for girls and transgenders 6% weightage was assigned. This is how IIM Kashipur carried out the final selection of candidates. Now, I want to again reiterate this was last year's process. This year, the admission criteria is not yet out. It is expected to be revealed after a few weeks. Next, I'm going to move to IIM Nagpur. IIM Nagpur last year, interestingly, they were part of CAP. And that was the only year when IIM Nagpur was part of CAP. This year, there's no clarity whether CAP will actually happen or not. And we need to wait and watch. But IIM Nagpur earlier, till CAT 2023, they have been doing the admission process on their own. So there is a chance, there is a likelihood that this year again they'll be on their own. But anyhow, let's wait for formal announcement, which is expected to be out in next coming few weeks. So last year, as they were part of CAP, they had the same cutoffs for generating an interview call. And once WAT PI got conducted, the final selection was carried out. These were the parameters and the weightages that were assigned to those parameters. CAT had a huge weightage of 40%, interview had 20%. So all in all, 60% was weightage for CAT and interview. 5% weightage was for VAT. So 65% were controllable factors. 10th class performance 2%, 12th class performance 3%, graduation at 5%. Work experience weightage was on the higher side. 15% weightage was assigned to work experience. Girls, they had 10% weightage. So this was the admission criteria during the final selection stage by IIM Nagpur. Next, I'm going to talk about IIM Visakhapatnam. So IIM Visakhapatnam, they did not release criteria for CAT 25. So here, I'm sharing with you the criteria that they have kept in place for CAT 24 last year process. So IIM Visakhapatnam carries out the admission process on their own. They have never been part of CAP. They have always carried out the process on their own. So IIM Visakhapatnam, they start with generating a preliminary shortlist, and that list is generated on the basis of CAT performance. Aman, I have seen your question, Aman. I will answer your question after 5 minutes or so. I'm going to take up your questions. So preliminary shortlist will be generated, and these were the percentiles that they have kept in place last year. So 82 percentile was the requirement for general category people with 70 sectionals. 72 was for EWS and NCOBC, 63 was sectional. Whereas SC was 50 overall, 40 sectional, ST applicants 40 overall, and 30 sectional. Same was the case with differently abled. But this is only preliminary shortlisting. From the people who clear these percentiles, a list of candidates were generated who will undergo interview round, and that was generated on the basis of this. CAT had 50% weightage, 10th, 12th, graduation at 10% weightage each. Again, 10% weightage was assigned to all female and transgender applicants, and 10% was work experience weightage. So this is how the list was generated for students who will be called for interview. Now, once those people were called for interview and interview was conducted, that's when the final list of selected candidates was generated. Now, here 25% weightage was assigned to CAT performance, and 48%, that is humongous weightage for personal interview round. So interview in IIM Visakhapatnam played a most important parameter was personal interview performance. 10th class, 12th class, graduation, they all had 4% weightage each. Work experience had 10% weightage. Girls and transgenders had 5% weightage. This is how the final selection process was carried out. Now, places like IIM Visakhapatnam and some of the other places, what you need to do to be eligible for admission is first and foremost, you have to apply to them in CAD application. So when you filled up the CAD form, you should have applied to them. If you did not put a tick mark for these IIMs in CAD form, then you will not be considered for shortlisting process. Please remember that. Even if you get 100 percentile and you did not put a tick mark next to IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Ahmedabad will not invite you for interview. So that's the first thing you have to remember. Now, some of these IIMs, like IIM Visakhapatnam, for example, the people who clear the preliminary percentiles, who clear this, they are given an email, and in that email you will have an option of expression of interest. They will say that you are eligible to be considered for shortlisting phase. If you are interested, please fill up this small form. So when you do that, that's when you are considered for shortlisting process. And Please understand, whoever get this email about expression of interest, it is not as if you have been called for interview. No, it is just that you have cleared the preliminary shortlisting criteria, which is CAT performance. But now if you express your interest, and only if you express your interest, you are going to be part of the process wherein they will shortlist people for interview. Whether you will get an interview call or not, it depends on all these parameters that are there on the screen right now and how you fare in these parameters. So that is how the process will work in case of IIM Visakhapatnam. So now that I have covered so many IIMs in this session, now I am going to throw the session open. And if you have any query, any question, please do feel free. Type your question and send it across to me. I'll give you few seconds of time to do that. So I'll be silent for a few seconds so that you get a little bit of time to type your question and you can share your question with me. Now I can see on my screen, Aman has asked a question. Aman says, sir, I have completed my MCOM in June 25 and now I have prepared, I'm giving CAT 25. Does my MCOM degree create any negative problems during the IIM selection process? Absolutely no. It does not create any negative impression on the interview panel. You do not have to worry about it at all, Aman. In fact, you can use it to your advantage. You can leverage it properly. My recommendation to everybody, including Aman, is the moment you receive your first interview call, I strongly recommend you join TIME Institute's GWPI preparation program. So the moment you attend GWPI preparation program at TIME, we will guide you. We will conduct basic sessions where you will gain conceptual clarity. We will also conduct a lot of mock interviews for you. We will conduct mock essay sessions for you, mock GD sessions for you, mock extempore sessions for you. And we will also be guiding you by giving you excellent mentoring. For example, somebody like Aman who has got this query, you can have a detailed discussion with my colleague and my colleague will explain to you in detail and how to answer the question if they ask, why did you do an MCOM program after graduation? So you will get inputs from us. Having said so, we believe that we should not treat you like parrots. So we will not supply with the answers. We will only guide you in coming up with an answer of your own, honest answer, right? Your own answer. We are not gonna give you an answer and you are going to memorize that answer and deliver. No, that's not what we do in TIME. In TIME, we believe in very ethical conduct and we will only guide you with regard to understanding how the thought process works and then coming up with an answer of your own, an honest answer of your own. But I can assure you, Aman, it will not be a negative factor. Doing an MCOM, being an MCOM postgraduate, it will work to your advantage. It's not a disadvantage at all. The next question comes from MFF who says, good evening, sir. I missed previous session. Can you please suggest me colleges I should be applying for and exams I should give? My score in AimCat is around 85 to 90 percentile and I don't have any work experience. My 10th result was 80% and 12th result was 12th result was 65%. All right, so he has given me his academic profile also. And since you are getting around 85 to 90 percentile in AimCats, my friend, you have a very good chance of getting multiple IIM calls. So make sure you prepare well. So what I recommend to you is, right now, you have already applied for CAT, and I encourage you to apply for XAT and SNAP also. Apply for these three exams. If you are interested in NMIMS, then you should have applied to NMAT, but now the last date is over. So if you have applied, well and good. Otherwise, these three are still available. Apply to them. As far as colleges are concerned, my friend, as of now, you should apply to places like MDI Gurgaon. You can also apply to IIFT. You can apply to Xavier University, Bhubaneswar, right? These three colleges, I recommend you apply without fail because these three have a deadline before CAT results. Apart from this, Delhi University, DFS and DB, they have also released their application. You can apply to them also. All right. Now, remaining colleges you can decide after the CAT results are announced. So after CAT results come out, you can always join us, meet us, seek guidance from us based on your performance, and we will let you know which colleges you can apply to. MFF also says I have applied for NMAT and CMAT. Very good. If you have already applied for NMAT, and I'm making an assumption you have already applied to NMIMS as well, then that's a good option so that you get one more option to choose from. CMAT may not be a very important exam as long as you do a brilliant job in CAT. But in case, God forbid, CAT, XAT don't go well, CMAT can be a good backup option. MFF says a concerning thing for me is VRC. My score in AIMCAT is 85 to 90 percentile only because of DILR and QA. See, my recommendation to you, my friend, is we have been doing excellent sessions on previous year questions from QA, VARC, as well as DILR. All three sections, we have done multiple YouTube live sessions. So make sure you go through those YouTube live sessions. They are available on our YouTube channel. I'm sure if you do that, it will help you in doing a better job in DILR and QA, which you have told me are affecting your performance in the recent AIMCATs. The next question comes from No Regrets. No Regrets says, sir, how much should I score consistently in self-AIMCAT to score 95 percentile and above? See, beta, in general, not just talking about self-administered, I'm talking in general. If you want to aim at 95 percentile, usually people who get around 90 percentile in our AIMCATs, they usually easily touch 95 percentile in CAT. That is essentially because the level of competition in AIMCATs is much higher than the level of competition you find in actual CAT exam. That is because of the serious test takers writing AIMCATs. Whereas CAT exam may be written by some serious CAT takers, but there are a lot of people who just write CAT for the heck of it, without any preparation, without any coaching, without any good self-preparation. Also, they write the exam. That's the reason securing a higher percentile in AIMCAT is much more difficult than securing a higher percentile in CAT. All right. MFF says, got it, sir. Thank you so much. You are welcome, MFF. I ran out of questions. Any other question anybody has got that you want me to answer? Please drop me a message. By the way, these sessions that we are doing, if you like these sessions, please do hit the like button and do subscribe to our channel because we regularly upload these kind of videos. There are so many other videos also available that will help you in your preparation. And I want to reiterate, the moment you get your first interview call, please immediately join us for GWPI preparation. All right. And remember, TIME is providing, in case you are not a TIME student, join us for a very interesting package. We are offering multiple AIMCATs experience with only 99 rupees fees, and you will get access to multiple AIMCATs as well as test taking strategy session. So make sure you do join us for that particular course. It will give you good amount of practice towards the end as such. So the next question comes from Next Gen. He says, hi, sir. Okay, hi, ma. Any question for me? If you have a question, do share it before I end today's session. I'll give him a few seconds because I guess he's typing the question. Meanwhile, I would like to reiterate that do a good job in CAT. The last few days are very much essential. We have done multiple videos on how to prepare in the last few days. And there are a lot of interesting videos lined up. So you can go to our channel, go to the live section of the channel, and you will get to see all the upcoming live sessions that we have planned. A couple of days before CAT, there'll be a last minute tips session also. Important do's and don'ts with regard to CAT day. So make sure you do attend that session also. My colleague will take you through what happens on the day of CAT, what are the important do's and don'ts that you have to keep in mind, because that also makes a big difference to your performance. Any other question, friends, that you have got? Okay, next gen has sent a question. Currently getting 50 plus score in MCAT and seems increasing. Okay, it's increasing, he means to say. I belong to SC category with 2.5 years of experience till now. Which college should I target? See, apart from IIMs, you have an excellent chance of getting multiple IIM calls. But apart from IIMs, I would also encourage you to apply to FMS and IAFT immediately. Along with this, also apply to Delhi University colleges, DFS and DBE. And after CAT results are announced, you should target other government colleges like IITs, for example, IASC Bangalore, for example, all right, or Delhi School of Economics, for example, right? TIS Mumbai form is also out. If you're interested in HR or business analytics, that's also a very good option to consider for you. So these are the options under CAT. I also hope that you have applied for SNAP and you have applied to SIBM Pune and SCM HRD. They also offer reservation to SC and ST and differently abled applicants. So that's also a good option for you to consider. No regrets say also, sir, how to study in these days. See, we have done a very good session on preparation methodology in the last few days. You go to our channel, there is an excellent video on this. Watch it. You will get a complete idea. Ashu Sharma says, sir, I'm getting around 50 marks in MCAT. Should I apply for CMAT and SNAP? If you're a general category person, yes, you can apply to these exams and keep them as a backup option. All right. So with this, I have answered all the questions that you people had shared with me. So I guess I have come to the end of this session, right? It was a pleasure interacting with you and looking forward to meeting you again. From my side, I wish you all the best and do check up the YouTube channel of ours and see all the upcoming videos that are lined up under the live section of the channel so that you will get more such inputs. Thank you, everyone, and all the best.